No, it's my third time.
First time he was on, he never got a word in edgewise.
I finally got asked a question at minute 52.
So you're in.
Which I was wondering why I drove.
Now.
Why did I drive all the way down here to get not ask a question? I felt like I was duck hunting with Jason Phil, where you just come and sit and you're not expected to do do
Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't look at anything.
Sit back there.
Don't enjoy.
Get behind
yourself.
all the brush. Don't do anything.
It's like shut up, sit down, be quiet.
Be quiet. Don't move.
Don't move.
So the second time I felt, then I adjusted, and then I felt like an auctioneer trying to get in everything I wanted to say. It was like the last time I was ever going to speak in my life.
That's right.
We have interrupting tendencies on this podcast.
Well, for the viewer, we agreed to interrupt,
and they know us now. At first everybody thought we were just being rude. Then they realized, no, that's how they do.
Or maybe a little of both.
There's a certain amount of rudeness to it.
So before we started rolling, we were talking about Zach hiring you at some point. Willie, you got to tell that story to our audience, because Zach goes way back. Zach claims, Willie, on this podcast several times that he was abused by the two of y'all.
Victimhood, yeah. That's a lot of people today.
He's
caught up in that.
He didn't enjoy Christmas.
Somehow he's a victim.
It was
Look at him. He really looks like he's being victimized.
For the record, I didn't.
He's doing all right, okay? Yeah.
But I'm saying you can't hold on to things.
Well, it was kind of cathartic, I think, for Zach, because he was like laying out all of his childhood trauma. I didn't know. I thought they were just coming over for a visit. I didn't know.
He's soft,
I don't like where this is going. Willie and Jase together against me on a podcast that the whole world's going to listen to.
Here's the deal. We try to make people into men, especially young boys into men. He was resisting.
Probably still 2 years old, and you've got a pillow playing blind man's bluff with a brick inside of it.
We were the big brothers you should have had.
I actually had the same thought as Willie. I thought we didn't do real well with sensitive young teenagers.
So we're trying to toughen him up a little bit.
Well, I was a teenager.
We're better though now with sensitive adults like you.
So Zach was. He was doing he was big pharma.
Oh yeah, he
was making some money. He was on our golf course, had him a big house over there, young executive type, and take it from there. Well, so he
was well on his way, and so he built this house where he had the construction garbage where he didn't want to pay, to pay them.
So even when he was back then, he was still
just
cheap.
tight. Okay, yeah. So he said, no, I'll pay my cousin. He's got a truck and a trailer because he was, he's a man,
It was the trailer I was after.
You had a little car, and he said, well, let me think of men I know. Yeah, I know one with a truck and a trailer, and he can back it up and stuff.
Oh, come on.
So he came over, paid me cash, and I'm back there cleaning his yard. And so he comes.
This was back when you ran camp?
Yeah, I was running camp, doing various other jobs. And so he comes out there to pay me, and he pulls out like a file folder, and he says, hang on, let me find the right. And he pulls out an envelope, and it's got yard work on it. Yeah. And so he pays me, and he starts explaining that he's on the Dave Ramsey program. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And he's like, oh, I'm telling you, in 3 years I'm going to be this, in 4 years I'm going to be this. And he's telling all that to me. He said, you need to get on this program. I said, I think I'm doing all right. And he said, I'm telling you, get on the program. I said, Zach, I'm good. I don't have envelope, it seems kind of complicated. And he said, I tell you what you do, I do what I do. We'll see who ends up on top. I said, okay. And I've never brought it up since until now.
Now that you're buddies with Dave Ramsey.
I get a text probably at least once a month. Every time he's with Dave Ramsey, I get a text. And it's like, hey, I'm here with Dave, Zach, and
doing what I do.
Yeah, I was just, you did your thing and I did mine. I was just, remember that time you said that? Although I will say that's not exactly how it went down, Willie. You make yourself to be this humble guy that you were chastising me for being on the budget. And that's why I responded the way I did. It wasn't because you were over there like, no, I just, little me, Willie. You were making fun of me. And so
I was the yard guy. You were the landowner. What do you mean?
But you've been the alpha there.
I was out there getting paid by the hour. You know,
That's true. You were, and that
so
that
don't
is-
give me this now. Yeah,
Yeah, but you were making fun of me when I pulled out the envelopes. You went full bore Willie on me, and I just had to defend myself. Now, granted, I probably shouldn't have said what I said. As Jay said on the last podcast, you lost.
That's as close as we get to an apology around
We
here.
were young. We were young.
That's right.
hey, we've done all right.
So Willie, we've been talking about mayhaws. Dad's just got through mayhaw season, so he brought some on here, and we talked about your mayhaw orchard
Mm-hmm.
that's next to your pond.
It's in the book.
Yeah.
The mayhaw orchard is actually
in the book. And did you talk about them not producing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm dogging my mayhaws in the book. This is pre what just happened because now they produced.
Right. Because you
8
figured out
years.
the cedar rust was the
You know how
issue.
many people has asked me through the years? They say, "What are those trees over there?" I was like, "Well, my brother's a businessman, but he's not a tree grower because he has mayhaw trees that produce no mayhaws."
Yeah.
It's like a living spiritual illustration of something.
Right.
There's no fruit on the tree.
No. Well, it was tragic. You know, I transplanted all these trees, and I knew they produced because the year before they had brought me jelly they had made from these mayhaws. So I knew. I was like, they've
Something
got
blocking
everything.
it.
Something is happening. And then an old timer told me. He said, "Let me tell you, if you can see a cedar tree, a mayhaw won't produce
The tree won't produce the fruit.
won't produce." And I thought, well,
And you believe that?
I can see a lot of cedar trees. Like
Because
the cedars
your
are
father-in-law
protecting
had
me
a
from the
Christmas
highway.
tree farm
Right.
at one time, right?
Have to have
I
the
would-
cedars, can't cut them down. And I'm like, well,
That would have been hard for me to believe.
that's what he said. And then this year, Stone sprayed for cedar rust, and poof, all the
You
berries
didn't have
popped
to
out.
cut down the cedar trees. You
That
just-
was it.
Right.
The old timer was right.
Yeah.
Which he didn't know there was a spray, I presume. He thought just cut every cedar you can see in sight, which I was like,
That's a lot of cedar.
I
That
get
would have
it,
been
but-
an episode if you're at your next door neighbor's house with a chainsaw cutting down a tree and it's like, I'm trying to get my mayhaws to grow.
oh, yeah.
I need to cut your trees.
Zero privacy, but all the mayhaw jelly was a.
Because
I
you
was
can't
torn.
even see from the road. You can't even see your property because of those huge cedar
Those
trees.
giant, yeah. That
Yeah.
my
Zach, that's
father-in-law
what you
planted.
need. Zach's been trying to build him a border wall up there that you need to.
That's a unity wall.
Yeah, he's
Unity.
backed off because
Wow.
I rebuked him about 4 commercials in a
It's
row.
swamp plant thrives in backwater areas
Right.
where you get water on it some years and some years you don't, and some years that you dry. Other years you're picking them up with a net. You just shake the tree and it just.
Well, and it's interesting, Dad, because Willie was saying before we came on that the ones you see in the swamp are always kind of gnarly and twisted.
Yep.
But you can get to them easier. But when you have yours all like they look like normal trees, but it's hard to get into.
They're
them.
neighborhood mayhaws. They're not swampy mayhaws. They're
He didn't have
neighborhood.
near the leafage
Right.
on his. The ones I
And they have
planted,
these huge thorns on them.
I planted about as many as he has in just a tight area. One's right here, one's right here. I mean, you could walk in between them. I just spaced them out.
Yep.
They
Made
do
yourself a
great.
little swamp grove. So Willie, who is the king of the slumgullion, as Dad calls it, always finds ways to make fusion out of meals or dishes, has done now the same thing with jelly. Tell me your little idea, which is brilliant.
Well, Corey and a couple of the grandkids went and picked strawberries at a strawberry patch. And then I was making that jelly thinking, what if we combine strawberries and mayhaw?
Best of two worlds.
So I did it, and we came up with what we call straw haw.
Straw hall.
I was
Ah,
trying to
it's
think of
good.
a name, but I like it. Straw
Have you
Hall.
tried the straw hall yet?
I have not.
They say it's fantastic.
It's good.
I haven't tried it yet.
No,
Bill
it's
brought me 2 jars of mayhaw yesterday, which I appreciate that. I haven't tried that.
Well, I was thinking like we're putting out the videos for mayhaw jelly. We're talking about mayhaws, but there's less than 1% of every
Yeah.
American even knows what it is or where to find it, or
It's pretty much just
so you're
limited
going
to
to need
our region,
something,
right?
You're going to need something to make jelly out of, and so strawberries.
It's a swamp fruit.
right.
Grows in the swamp where it's sometimes it's water. You sane them, and the other times you pick them up a dry year. You pick them up off the ground, but some of mine go underwater just about every year.
The only other people that I've ever met that knew about mayhaws were from Arkansas and a little bit of East Texas. So it must just be in our region because
Oh yeah, it
get
didn't
away
go,
from here,
it didn't
nobody's
go
ever heard of them.
further north than here, almost, I'd say 30 miles, 40 miles, and then it just too far up, won't grow.
But picking them up the other day, it was a flashback to when we were kids. The smell,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is the smell. You could
Yeah.
smell them when I was picking them up. But growing up when we were kids, every time we ever picked them up, it was always in water.
Right.
Like I don't remember picking them up off dry land.
We would go up to the
I
back.
planted some on a little higher ground after watching that.
Yeah, but we were going places.
We were going all the way up to Marion. I mean,
Okay.
which is like an hour north.
So there's this thing
A
called
lot of mayhaws up in there.
Yeah, that's where you found them hunting, and that's
Oh,
where you
yeah.
knew where they were.
So there's a little thing called the internet that may or may not be true, but it says the region borders for mayhaws are southwest Alabama, west to southern Arkansas, and east Texas.
That's it.
So
So I guess
it's a little bigger.
Mississippi's
Mississippi,
included in that, too.
Alabama.
Okay.
Well, it'd have to be, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I was just I figured all our Mississippi.
But well, I
listeners-
remember we were kids, so Dad would take us up to Granny and Paul. It was a whole family outing.
Oh yeah,
We get in the truck, we drive all. It take us about an hour to get there and go back in where we used to hunt, and then we would all climb the trees. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd put bed sheets around the bottom. We would shake, and of course, all the limbs and of course, we were shredded. With
Oh, yeah.
all
Oh, it
the
was
thorns.
fun though until you saw a cottonmouth,
You saw a snake,
and then it was like,
They got not fun.
and they were always there.
That's why now it's in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
just past the front yard.
So your grandkids got out, and how were
Oh,
they?
yeah,
Were they like we
they-
were when we were kids?
They liked, they enjoyed it. Everybody had their little baskets, and yeah, it was a different. We were nice about, like everybody's got your bait.
It wasn't more the
Get
slave.
your butt up in that tree. Oh, I got a thorn in me. Keep going.
yeah.
I'm bleeding. It's all
I'm
right.
bleeding.
It was a little bit harsher when we were there, right?
Well, I loved it though.
Yeah, I do
Good
too.
memory.
I'm glad we're bringing it back. It's a good tradition.